Well, returning to our top story now, it's the ongoing stoush between the states and the federal government when it comes to easing restrictions after vaccination targets are met. And joining us live now is the Liberal MP Dave Sharma. Dave, good to see you this morning. Thanks for your time. I just want to start off by getting your thoughts on these comments by Stephen Miles, the Deputy Premier of Queensland, yesterday, suggesting that Queensland may well keep its border closed to New South Wales even after 80% vaccination targets are met. So he's basically following Mark McGowan.
Look, I think it's disappointing. I think they'll only be doing a disservice to their own citizens and their own people, and their own tourism industry and their own businesses and their own residents who have family members outside in other states. And it's not what the National Cabinet agreed. I mean, the National Cabinet agreed, and the rest of the world has had this experience, is when you get to a higher vaccination rate, you progressively ease social distancing and other public health restrictions, and you begin to treat COVID-19 like any other regular infectious disease, because you've got the capacity, you've got the know-how to do it, and the mortality rate begins to approach that of any other infectious disease. That's been the experience overseas once countries get north of 70% of the adult population vaccinated, and that will be the experience in Australia as well. And so why you would want, as a state, to deny yourself and your residents all the freedoms that we have missed during this time, and the liberties and the businesses and the opportunities, why you would want to deny those to your residents a day longer than is necessary is frankly mysterious to me.
You would notice that the Prime Minister and the Treasurer for the last couple of days have started to push back on the Premiers on this very point. Do you believe the PM is right to take a hardline stance against those states who are threatening to veto the deal?
Well, I think what we've made clear, and the Treasurer and the Prime Minister, amongst others, have, is that the support measures we've got in place are for emergency economic assistance for the unique period we're in. But the country can't afford to keep those in place in perpetuity, and we can't really afford to keep them in place, a week longer or a month longer than is necessary. So I think what the federal government has been making clear is, look, states have some freedom of decision-making in these areas and some prerogatives that belong to them, but they shouldn't expect that the federal government will continue to underwrite those decisions when those decisions are against the medical advice, against the decisions of the National Cabinet, and against all the lived experience overseas of how to best manage this virus.
By taking on the states, though, I mean, is it a risk for the Prime Minister to do that and face electoral backlash?
Look, I'll leave the political judgments to others, Peter, but I think, we're elected to govern and to take decisions in the best interests of the country, and that involves, weighing up complicated things. I don't pretend any of this is easy, and often having to, take the best of several choices which are suboptimal. None of this is easy. There are downsides and upsides to every path we decide to take, but we're elected to govern, and I think, to find a pathway through this crisis. And ultimately, the public will make their decisions about whether they think that was the right course of action or not at an election, and so they should. But, we need to be governing in terms of what we see as the best interests of the country at any particular time.